Good day, everyone. Welcome to the second session of our district webinar about instructional strategies in Araling Panlipunan in the new normal. Today, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced a massive shift in the way we work, learn, and connect with others. Therefore, what should be the appropriate instructional strategy should I adopt in my teaching? One of the strategies that we can use nowadays is the 4A's instructional strategy. What is 4A's instructional strategy? The 4A technique is a strategy to connect the content you are teaching to the life experiences of learners. The strategy is broken into 4 parts, namely, the activity, analysis, abstraction, and application, which describe the 4 possible parts of learning tasks. A learning task should always include the apply concept. Therefore, we can apply these 4 main concepts in crafting our lesson or learning plans. Now, let us talk about each component of the 4A's instructional strategy. First is activity. Its main purpose is to activate prior knowledge, make connections through sets of activities, and prepare the minds for new content. This will bring understanding to what the learners already know and clarity to what learners should learn further. At this early stage, the students should already have a retrospect of what they will be learning through the activity that will be presented. This simply refers to tapping into learners' previous experience with the topic. So many instructional methods can be used to activate prior knowledge, including brainstorming, games, conversations, and concept mapping. Next is analysis. Its purpose is to break down parts to understand the whole concept. It is another phase where the students will process and classify what is valid and not. The teacher on this part will ask further questions and will also lead as a facilitator rather than mere lecturing in sharing facts and ideas. The students gain a wider view of the lesson but at the same time draws closer to the main topic. Hihimayin ang set of activities na ginawa ni learner through questioning. Everything that will be asked will lead the learners to understand the new lesson. Series of questions na mababa sa umpisa hanggang sa tumaas ang level of thinking. And with this, learners will have an idea kung saan pupunta ang discussion. Just make sure na ang bawat question ay may connection sa bawat isa to come up with a new concept. The third component is abstraction. The teacher in this part will now focus entirely on the lesson being presented and ask more lead questions to lead the students in reinforcing what they know and should know more. New learning will be transformed into abstract thought. Dumaan po ba ang lesson sa concrete level? Yes! Noong nag-activity at nasagutan ng learners ang set of questions, doon nagsimula ang concrete level. Kaya pagdating sa abstraction, ilalahad na lang ang pangalan ng new lesson at ang complete details nito. In this step, may natutunan na ang bata kahit hindi pa naipakikita ang bagong lesson. Pero kailangan pa rin makita ang complete lesson for full understanding. The student here starts to feel more the importance of the lesson to him or her and see the necessity of it to his or her life. The final A is application. It allows the learners to apply learning in a different situation. It describes the stage as bringing the student to a more practical way of using how they are going to use what they have learned and thinking of new ways on how it can be improved further. It can be an individual or group activity as long as it is appropriate and aligned to learning competency. Again, 4A technique is one of the instructional strategies that we can apply in the new normal, which allows us to connect the content that we are teaching to the life experiences of learners. Now, what are the things to be remembered in applying this instructional strategy? First, this format will best affect learning when we facilitate more rather than placing the lessons in their heads. We aim to keep them at face but not to the point of dragging them to what we would like them to achieve. And with our present situation, the roles of teachers are vital to the growth of learners' educational development, be it modular, virtually, or even online. Likewise, the cooperation between and among the key persons is also necessary in serving the best education to the learners despite this pandemic. Next is, do not forget to have localization and indigenization of your lesson if possible. It helps teachers and learners to comprehend concepts by relating and presenting a lesson in the context of local environment, culture, and resources. We can also apply this in crafting the learning activity sheets for our learners. Third, design your lesson that goes within and across other learning areas. So let us also take into consideration that it should also develop the literacy and the numeracy skills of our learners. And last but not the least is the mastery of the lesson. So when the teacher is prepared and has mastered the lesson, it will surely surprise you with good results or evaluation. Moving on, as an educator, how would I apply this approach in teaching? To answer this, let us have an overview on the foundations of pedagogy, andragogy, and eutagogy, and how it is being implemented based on teaching practices. Traditionally, pedagogy was defined as the act of teaching children and andragogy as teaching adults. As such, andragogical and eutagogical practices can be used with children and youth. So let's describe each within this framework. The driving questions for pedagogy. How well can you create this particular project or activity? For andragogy, how can this prescribed project be adapted and modified? And for eutagogy, what do you want to make? Here, we can see how dependent a learner will be in performing a certain project or activity. The overall purpose or goal. The goal of pedagogy is to teach basic skills as a foundation for future projects, or scaffolding. To provide some structure so learners can be self-directed is the goal of andragogy. And for eutagogy, its overall purpose is to establish an environment where learners can determine their own goals, learning paths, processes, and products for making. Therefore, pedagogy is scaffold learning, andragogy is self-directed learning, and eutagogy is self-determined learning. The role of educator. For pedagogy, the teacher's role is to teach, demonstrate, help learners do the activity or the project correctly. For andragogy, the teacher facilitates, assists learners. And for eutagogy, the teacher's role is to coach, mentor, be a guide very much on the side. For making process or doing certain tasks, for pedagogy, there's a use of prescribed templates, step-by-step directions, and tutorials. For andragogy, there's use of some templates but learners can add their own designs. And for eutagogy, it is open-ended and determined by the learner. For the finished products or tasks, for pedagogy, the project looks and acts like the original model. For andragogy, the project has some attributes of the original model but includes the learner's original ideas. And for eutagogy, a project is unique to the learner and to the learning community. In addition, there are two kinds of pedagogy, the peeragogy or the peer-oriented learning, which acknowledges the power of peer relationships in facilitating learning and personal growth. And the other one is cybergogy or the virtual-based learning, where it focuses on helping students from young to adults to learn easily through the virtual environment. Distance and online learning is the outcome of cybergogy. Kapag si learner ay tumawag sa kanyang friend or classmate using any online platforms, asking questions related sa kanilang online lessons or aralin na nasa module, ito po ay isang halimbawa ng combined pedagogy and cybergogy. We observed that pedagogy, andragogy, and utagogy are on a continuum, and this link to transformative education, the Education 4.0, where it can be exhibited progressively during the educational experience of our learners, particularly with the advent of more advanced educational technologies. Maybe in the near future, the integration of information technology in education will further accelerated, and that online education, smart technology, artificial intelligence, and robotics will eventually become an integral component of school education. Therefore, the approach and teaching styles ay kailangan din pong iangkop at sumabay sa mga pagbabago at inobasyon sa edukasyon. And with this, as an educator, how would I adjust to the new normal education? Here are the tips that we can adapt to adjust to the new normal education. Since we are adapting the distance learning as mode of delivery, number one is we can utilize interactive platforms and games. For us to balance the pedagogy of instruction with engagement, virtual video platforms like Zoom, Google Hangouts, and WebEx allow us to connect with the entire class at once to provide more engaging, effective online instruction. To facilitate engagement, we can utilize PowerPoint add-ons that embed activities or games. Pear Deck, Mentimeter, and Kahoot are digital integrations that teachers can add to virtual or in-person lessons. Number 2, facilitate discussions and collaboration. Finding pathways to engage students in group discussions to build collaboration and communication skills is critical. Since the COVID-19 lockdowns, in-person social interaction has changed dramatically. So giving students the space and opportunity to connect and collaborate will be necessary for their development. If your classroom is fully virtual, consider breakout rooms on your virtual platform or a discussion forum where students can express and share their ideas. For remote, hybrid, or in-person learning, a long-term group project or research activity that gives students the opportunity to collaborate together is also a great option. With the options presented, let us remember to remain flexible and allow for all types of sharing and collaboration techniques based on the modality and comfort of our individual students. Number 3, make time for socio-emotional learning. This pandemic has proven to be a difficult time not just for our society but also for children who are still developing and trying to understand their changing circumstances. Therefore, we educators must create the environment and opportunities in which student growth is possible. And to help our students process this shared experience, we must make time for activities that promote socio-emotional learning during the week. This will help students feel supported by their learning environment and build skills to cope, heal, and thrive. Ano po ang mga activity na pwede nating ipagawa sa mga bata to promote socio-emotional learning? Weekly journal assignments are simple activity that builds writing skills and can serve as a way for teachers to check in with their students' emotional state. You can consider the following questions to start. What would a perfect day look like to you? For what in your life do you feel most grateful? What is your favorite memory? What does friendship mean to you? Describe something that makes you angry. Why did you choose that? How do you have fun and unwind? Other activities that teachers can utilize are a worry scale to check in, or assigning the vision board, which is an activity for students to cut out or draw images that reflect their goals, aspirations, and dreams. Number 4, be available and flexible. Your students may react to distance learning or changes at school, like wearing a mask, physical distancing, and the like. And be ready for behavioral changes. Remember that your students are going through immense developmental changes and feelings during these unexpected societal changes. Some students might have difficulty adjusting from their sleeping schedule or creating a routine for this upcoming school year. So try to remain flexible and give students time to gather their bearings. Moreover, take the time to check in individually with each student to provide a safe environment for your students to express their emotions and provide flexible deadlines as needed. And number 5, prioritize your own self-care. Self-care can keep you at the top of your game and ready to handle any challenges that come up during this difficult time. A positive, healthy self-care strategy can include activities that address physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, social, and professional factors every day. Here are a few quick activities that we can incorporate in our daily lives to distress. Schedule breaks into your daily routine. 10 to 20 minutes a day to decompress from any items that may be causing stress. Practice positive self-talk and affirmations to develop compassion and empathy for yourself. Practice deep breathing and mindfulness. Find and seek out social support. Talk to other teachers or school support staff about your stress and shared experience. Sabay-sabay po nating basahin ang kasunod. Organize, organize, organize. Create plans and to-do lists to keep you from getting overwhelmed and keep your working space orderly and efficient. And last, every teacher is encouraged to find practices that will work best for their schedule, but make sure to take the time to avoid stress and burnout. Just remember, these times are difficult for parents, students, and educators alike. But we are all in this together and will make it through. For the closing activity, write and create a lesson plan or DLL on a chosen topic using the 4A's instructional strategy suited for blended learning in the new normal. Design it in a way that it develops the literacy and numeracy skills of the learners adapting Education 4.0 and apply localization and indigenization. To be submitted at Dear educators, let me end this session with this quote to remember. Critical thinking narrows and creative thinking expands, but they must work in tandem for problem solving and decision making. Thank you for listening and keep safe, everyone.